everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and today's episode of Lorebeards is not I don't really consider it a real episode of Lorebeards. You can kind of think of this as like a bonus episode, because Nathan won't be joining us today. He's taking some time off from streaming to do some other stuff, and just take care of himself, which I think is smart for anyone to do. Frankly, when you're in this kind of job, it's much better to take care of yourself and not push yourself. So he's doing what he needs to do, but I didn't want to just leave y'all completely without anything for a while, especially because I don't think we've had a Lorebeards for the last 2 weeks, which was mostly my fault. So I decided to go ahead and come on anyway today, but I'm not alone. I've got Enticity with me. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yeah, times are interesting right now.
Yeah, they are, and we'll talk a bit about that. But Enticity is someone who I know pretty well, consider him a good friend, and we're going to talk about a number of things relating to Total War Warhammer mainly. Like I said, this isn't going to be a normal episode of Lorebeards, so we're not going to be doing Tale of Two Gamers. We're not going to be doing who would win or any of that, because what we will be doing is talking quite a bit about Total War Warhammer, especially the multiplayer aspects of it, but also the campaign as well, because Enticity does both. I watch a lot of his campaign streams. And then we will also be having a section where we just kind of answer questions from people who are watching live, because I think that will be fun. But the main thing here is that we will be talking about kind of the past, present, future of Total War, but we're gonna be just having fun with it, and talking about mostly positive stuff, because it just seems like everyone's kind of wrapped up in a ball of negativity at the moment. We're gonna see if we can pop that a little bit, relieve some pressure from that wound. So real quick, there is a very important message in chat that I do have to point out, though, which is from Professor Pone, who says, please tell Enticity to stop beating me in tournaments. It's very important.
All right, I'll do my best. Focus on a few more campaigns. That should do it.
Yeah. So let's start with so Enticity. The multiplayer has gone through some changes lately, and I've been wanting to talk about this in a Lorebeards, but we keep, like, I had a week off, and then Nathan had to travel, I think 2 weeks ago, so like we haven't been able to get together since the new patch really came out, and talk about the multiplayer aspects. So I'm going to talk to you about it. How have you been feeling about the multiplayer with patch 1.1?
We'll start off with the game specifically. I think the game, amazing. I love the multiplayer. I think I enjoy playing both systems. In terms of LAN battles, there was always like a few problems there on like higher levels where people were more incentivized to cheat because of, like, not cheat, but play really close to the edge of the rules.
Yeah.
And then the new changes really helped with domination mode, and 1.1 just cleaned up everything so that I would say the meta itself is it's pretty average for what I saw in Warhammer 2. I don't think it's like way worse. And then I would put it like fairly up there, except for the fact that there's only 7 factions instead of a million.
Yeah. So okay, let's start with LAN battles. What is the landscape right now with LAN battles, as far as like who's doing well, what kind of interesting strategies have you seen coming out, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, LAN battles are interesting because it does have a different meta. Has a different meta than domination. So like you see Cathay doing a lot better because they rely on their formations and sort of a lot of units supporting each other. And like a lot of the slower factions, generally they tend to do a lot better there, just because domination really incentivizes like speed and maneuvering. So mostly like Cathay and Nurgle enjoy LAN battles quite a bit. Um, but yeah, overall, it's uh. So I don't know if you were asking about factions or like tournament
Oh,
hosts.
either you can
Uh-huh.
take you can branch that wherever you'd like,
Yeah,
whichever you
because like
find more
tournament
interesting to start
hosting
with.
right now is sort of weird for LAN battles. I haven't actually seen too many tournaments hosted for it. There's been like a few here and there, but like turns mainly doing domination, especially with 1.1.
Mm.
And then for me, I'm doing like sort of an offshoot of LAN battles, which is like hybrid maps. So you have the capture points, but you don't reinforce. So
Oh, interesting. Okay.
yeah, essentially just LAN battles with cap points. Um, which is like it's close to LAN battles, but it has its differences. So there's a bit there's a bit going on there.
Mm. So do you think that's actually really interesting because I know a lot of the I know there was like a decent little part of the like Warhammer 2 multiplayer community that seemed to like just hate domination. Um and has that opinion shifted, do you think, or is it just that they're still playing Warhammer 2 and are not playing land battles in Warhammer 3?
I think well from what I can tell, they're not a lot of the people that mostly hate domination aren't really playing that much multiplayer at all.
Oh,
I
okay. Well,
think
that could be it too.
yeah. There's like I know I like what's in terms of like the actual like climate of multiplayer,
Mm,
um there definitely was a pretty big split. I don't see too many people that really enjoy both modes. It's like very divisive.
yeah. Mm.
But yeah, like it mostly seems like things are sort of shifting towards domination. And then a lot of people are, they're going on breaks. But in terms of like just looking at turns tournaments, you can still get a lot of signups. So on that front, I would say domination is looking pretty healthy on that front.
Okay, well that's good. And I mean, I know for me, I'm curious about your thoughts on this. Now that like there's been a long time, a good few months or a good couple of months to really play the new modes and stuff. At least for me as a player and viewer, like I find myself much more enjoying domination because there's clear objectives and it's a lot
Mhm.
easier to follow what's going on uh, rather than just maybe not easier to follow what's going on, but I tend to find just a kill or be killed strategy format with Warhammer specifically to not be as entertaining as like domination, where we're having like, okay, there's clear objectives that you're competing for and there can be like interesting strategies to take them out. And it also just seems a lot more forgiving. Whereas like a pure land battle situation seems like it's either like micro or die, or that your build is so good that even if your opponent micros hard enough, there's just nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, I think it's on the forgiving front. I think it's more forgiving than land battles. But in for from my experience, if you make a couple mistakes, like um, I think it's in the sense it's more forgiving because the armies are larger. Like
Mm,
you throw more on the board. So if you lose 1,000 gold worth of units, it's a smaller percent of your army in that sense. But actually, like what I'm starting to see now is that if you make like one big misplay, other players can just abuse that, or not like abuse that, but they can take advantage of that for the rest of the game and
mm.
still carry out a victory, which I think is good. Um, but like larger army sizes in general, I think like for me, it's definitely two different games. I still enjoy both like
Right.
modes.
Mm.
Um, although I have said that I don't plan on hosting land battle tournaments because I'm trying out hybrid to see if that works as a good alternative. Um, but yeah, for domination, it's I would see the way I compared it before is that domination is much more of a um, decision making type game mode, while land battles are more of a micro intensive game mode.
That's
And then
okay. That's a
it's
fair way to put it. Yeah. Um, it is really interesting seeing them play out, and I do think that it'll definitely be one of those things that's going to be fascinating once Mortal Empires hits, about how the different races divide, because I don't think there's any situation. I really don't foresee a future where there's going to be one race that like dominates both modes. I imagine it's going to be different races tend to swing harder, just depending on what they're good at. Because one thing you pointed out that I definitely agree with is that domination is so much more rewarding for having like a lot of maneuverability to try and take advantage of your opponent not defending their points, or a point, or like capture them faster and stuff like that. Whereas land battles, it's much more about maximizing the synergy with your army, which Cathay very explicitly takes advantage of, and is also great for an army like Nurgle, especially Nurgle. That heal spell of his is like insane, if you can blob, because I made it, I think, 90% of the way through my legendary Kugoth campaign before I realized that overcasting that spell would hit everybody, because my brain just assumed that it would only hit like 4 units, like the vampire counts. And it was like, oh, this is much stronger than I thought it was.
Oh yeah, like it is vampire counts and steroids.
Yeah, I like it's a super expensive spell, so it's not like you could spam cast it, but like damn, that is a that is a hefty army wide heal if you use it correctly. But one thing I was kind of curious if you feel up to some speculation. Have you thought about what, like, if you had to pick like what, let's say like a top 3 of the armies from Warhammer 1 and 2 for each mode, who are you the most excited to see come into those modes?
I guess I'll start off with domination. Um, I think skirmishers in general have shown themselves to be really good, really good.
Hmm.
Because if you look at Warhammer 3, only one faction has proper skirmishers, that being Kislev, and that makes them really a notch above the best, or above the rest.
Yeah. Mhm.
Just because it offers up a lot of different, like well, it's just a very strong style in general. And I think in Warhammer 2 you'll see a lot of the kite factions doing very well, specifically like high DPS kite. So I think Wood Elves are
Mhm.
going to be amazing in domination, and I think let's see, I don't know. High elves are like low DPS kite. I feel like they wouldn't actually be as good, but probably dark elves I would say would just be like one of the top factions in domination.
Yeah, what elves in particular I think about, as far as like between, they have you're right, they have insanely good skirmish, a lot of like stealth units that can do devastating damage. Like I can't even imagine how horrifying Way Watchers are gonna be in domination.
You can reload them.
Yeah, and but at and then like, but they also have like excellent guard units, like with treekin and treemen and stuff, that'll be able to just sit on an objective and be like, I may not be able to kill you off the objective, but you're not going to kill me off this objective. It's like, come at me. um it's going to be so interesting to see how everyone tries to deal with Wood Elves, because the Warhammer 3 factions in particular, I think a point that you have that I agree with is that they do feel cut from a very different cloth as far as like how they function. Warhammer 2 in particular did feel very skirmish heavy, between like lizardmen, dark elves, the Wood Elf update, high elves like have quite a bit of well, high elves they're so weird because like they're very flying based, which in domination is actually not going to be very helpful. That's actually going to be a problem for high elves, I think, is that they can't capture objectives with any of those flying units, so they're going to have to rely on a lot of I guess they're cavalry, but their cavalry doesn't really hit that hard unless you have low armor. But okay, so but high elves do have a lot of options though. What else you got one more for a top 3?
Yeah, I've been combing through. I think, oh boy, it's because there's a chance that some slow faction will be insane.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a chance dwarves could be really good, but like in a vacuum,
Yeah,
it sort of depends.
I've noticed a lot of the domination maps seem unfortunately designed so that, because I've thought to myself like, oh, it'd be really nice if you could like just if you had like a lot of war machines, you could just pull out a war machine while defending an objective and have it shoot from its objective. But a lot of them seem very specifically designed so you can't do that. Like there's like terrain and stuff in the way.
Yeah, and actually, that reminds me, one of the top picks that I had that I thought of way before, Skaven. I
Mm.
think poison wind mortars over the terrain,
Oh yeah.
just like that that map control that they give, the very high DPS. That's that could be terrifying. The
It,
speed.
yeah, and the all the clan Eshin units, like
Hmm.
so much, like they have so much variety of stealth units. Most armies
Yeah.
have like, oh, our stealth unit is good at shooting, or our stealth unit is generally garbage, but hey, it's stealth, so that's good in and of itself. Skaven's like, we have nearly a quarter of our faction's options are amazing, and they are also stealthed. um, but I mean, yeah, Skaven do seem like they could potentially be absolutely just terrifying. I mean, Death Runners alone, really seem like that will be interesting. But I think about like Bretonia. Bretonia's got like so much maneuverability. Um, though at the same time, I don't know how Bretonia is going to reliably deal with like a lot of range skirmish. But I don't know, like they were able to deal with it a bit in Warhammer 1 and 2.
Yeah, a lot of it was like rushing them down, which gets to like going into your enemy's capture points. So like wood elves could just kite back with way watchers and then spawn some spears.
Mm,
Which so like factions that rely on catching the enemy, I think they would have the hardest time transitioning.
that's fair. Yeah. I'm curious, especially when we get like lizardmen and um lizardmen, like warriors of chaos, Norska. Like I'm really curious how like the big monster mash factions are gonna do, because we don't really have a monster mash faction in Warhammer 3, unless you count like ogres, but they're not the same. It's not the
Like
same.
you're talking like big like mammoths, dreadsaurians type.
Yeah, it's I think it's going to be curious to see. Like I imagine that's not going to be super successful because it's like it's very hyper focused, but I don't know.
Yeah, like Nurgle sort of has that, with the great unclean ones.
Hmm.
I would say like probably lizardmen could pull it off, I think.
Because I mean, lizardmen do have that kind of distinct advantage of that a lot of their monsters are like pretty heavily armored, and they have a lot of cheap monsters too. You know, it's not just like, because I feel like a lot of the issue with demons for monster mash is that their monsters are very expensive. And while they're good, they also just don't tend to have much in the way of armor, so they're very exposed to like pretty cheap missile fire, or even just cheap units can hurt them over time. Whereas like, you know, lizardmen, you could literally just run like feral bastillodons and stegodons, and they are really tough for very few amount of points.
Hmm.
But I don't.
Like
Oh
yeah,
no, go
like
ahead.
just playing as corn.
Mm,
I've definitely thought to myself, I would rather have a Carnosaur than a Bloodthirster right
yeah.
now, or like a Stegodon for like two Stegodons for one Bloodthirster. So,
Yeah, that's a steal,
and they
man.
would capture.
That's a steal. But yeah, I'm so okay. So we've done domination, and it seems that the final list was kind of somewhere along the lines of dark elves, wood elves, and Skaven, which I think is really good. I think literally the only other army I could see maybe potentially being up there would be like Empire. for those who know how to use them. I don't know. They seem like they've got pretty devastating skirmish missile fire, which is what they've got so much variety in their like cav. And plus,
Yeah, okay.
I'm very suspicious that there's going to be an Empire update very quickly in this game because they're just their main character boys. So like they're gonna get something. they're gonna get something. And plus, I think I know Nathan's talked about they found that Marienburg land ship in the game files. So it's like I don't know what it would do. It's like I don't know, like is it just a bigger steam tank? Because that's all it was in tabletop. It was just a steam tank, but instead of like where the steam tank had like stupid amount of armor and a stupid amount of health and like dragon level stats, the Marienburg landship was like, well, what if we just made everything 10s instead of everything 6s? So it's more like a chaos mammoth with cannons instead of just a dragon with cannons. But
If it's a ship, I'd love to see it have side shots, sort of like how the Cathay balloons shoot from all directions. If
oh
this
yeah.
one just shot left to right, that could be
Yeah,
that could be fun.
it should but yeah, it had just the dumbest profile. It was so silly, like because it would like when it fought other monsters, you'd have to like roll on a table, and it had like a weird boarding action attack. It was very bizarre. But okay, so going over to land battles with the way the game has shifted and stuff, and with these new factions, are there any factions that you're like super particularly excited that you think are gonna really like kick land battles back into a lot of people's interest coming from the old game?
Ooh, wait, so you're saying old game
Mhm.
coming in,
Mhm.
changing lane battles?
Which I guess is
Uh
kind of a stupid question because that was like the focus of game. Okay, hold on. Let me change the
yeah.
question. So I was thinking about this last night. So I'm gonna ignore that part. Let's just pretend
Sure.
I only asked that about domination because that actually made sense. So something I was thinking about is that there's been some pretty serious overhauls to the way the game works, most notably in the magic department. So one thing I wanted to ask is, have you thought about, and if so, I'm curious what your thoughts on which lores of magic are you the most interested to see in the new system? Because they'll have to go through some changes as far as how they operate, how much they're worth, and everything. Because when I was doing the math in my head last night, I think the only lores of magic that are not in game 3 are all of the like faction specific lores. What high magic and dark magic, or well, dark magic is faction specific, but high magic is lizardmen and high elves. So I guess I'll but anyway, and light, because I think the lore of light is not in game 3.
Yeah, that's right.
But the other 7 main ones are. I'm curious. Are there any lores of magic that you think could potentially be like drastically different from how they performed in 1 and 2 with the new system?
Yeah, I think in general, I think magic is overall a little bit weaker because of the changes.
Mm.
They fixed a bug that was giving extra damage. So
Yeah,
yeah, that'll happen.
yeah. No more. Yeah. Oh, poor old pendulum. Just Jesus.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was.
Well,
That
so
was
pendulum was
wild.
just a different thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like they standardized the damage so it's even for units that get hit. Pendulum, just the number was just way
Oh,
too
okay. So,
high.
sorry, you're talking about magic
Yeah,
in general from like
yeah.
2 to 3, not specific
Mhm.
spell. Okay, I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah. So like Burning Head is the numbers didn't get changed, but it does less damage now, um, because it doesn't. There was like a weird knockdown thing. I don't think it's even been figured out yet. 'Cause like I talked to some modders and they gave up. Like, nah, this is not worth it. But yeah, so like that sort of got fixed. I think, but one thing that I saw, Lord Croak got buffed. His numbers, like his actual damage numbers, they increased it. If you look at like the unit description panel thing.
Hmm.
So out of all the lores of Magic, that's the one that I actually really want to see.
What? What? So okay. So Lord Croak
Yeah.
in game 3 is
Yep.
going to be stronger than he was in game 2.
He might be because the knockdown damage has changed, but like he definitely the number in the game files is higher.
What? That's
Yeah.
really funny. I'm
Yeah, so I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe he'll be OP.
that's gonna be interesting. Well, I mean, to be fair though, like Lord Croak, I've always felt that like it's just not as big of a deal if his damage is high, in the sense that like there it there's a long time for you to go, oh, Croak's casting a spell at me, I guess I should move out of the way. And you have time to think that thought and still issue the orders and potentially dodge it. um do you think any of the lores will like be like dramatically better or worse in the new system?
I would say, um, oh, actually, okay. They changed a lot of direct damage spells that hit multiple units, like Buna and so on.
Do you think that might
Um,
affect Soul Stealer?
well, like Soul Stealer is actually, I would say, pretty weak now.
Oh.
It seems very like not meta just because of all the changes.
mm,
Before it was a good anti-healing tool. Now because it spreads its damage out, it's sort of lost that job. But other spells became a lot more useful. Like Buna can two-shot a unit of like Longma Riders,
mm.
which is very useful as like
Oh
just
yeah.
like a undodgeable spell. So I would say like I would say I would expect a lot of changes to spells, but like I can't really know how things like how the numbers actually play out. But it seems like there will be a lot of new faces once all the new lores come in, which is very exciting.
Will we finally see the rise of the lore of stealth for the
Lore
Skaven?
still.
That lore that
Oh
everyone
boy.
forgets is in the game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Good old. Let's see. They got the ninja stars. They have two vortexes. One doesn't do damage, so I guess that's not
Yeah, yes,
changed.
the push you away spell.
Yeah.
Which conceptually is cool. It just in multiplayer, like in single player, I have found that spell can be very useful. In multiplayer, people are like, I'll just go around it.
Someone will figure something out. Like someone's moving towards a point. You plop that down, right?
Yeah,
Just pure disruption.
yeah, oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It'll be
yeah.
maybe rework the spell so it's just the size of the point, so you could just stop them from getting on it for a minute.
That would
Um,
actually be awesome if they
yeah.
increased it to be that big.
Let's see.
Love
There's also what, the missile resistance and armor spell,
that. Yeah.
um, which
Okay.
which if there's one thing I've learned from watching a lot of your kind of like short clip videos, it's that buff and debuff spells are so much shittier than I thought they were. Like
Yo,
my brain sees numbers and it goes, oh, that must be good, and then I watch your video and I'm like, wow, these are all trash.
some people still argue that they're strong, but I ran a thought experiment the other night where basically like a mid-range unit, 800 gold, right? Unit of Saurus.
Mm,
Generally they'll get like 600 gold after the battle. If the buff lasted the entire game and like gave them 50% more damage, that means that the spell gave you 300 gold. It essentially killed a unit of goblins,
man,
which yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
and that's best case. It doesn't last that long.
yeah, it sounds like a discussion needs to be had with the devs, as far as like either these spells need to last a much longer period of time on average, or the buffs just need to be way bigger on a general scale. Because like they
Almost
like when I look at them, my brain does like super stupid levels of like basic math of like, that number is a notable percentage of the number I already have, therefore this must be good, and that's just not how it works.
there. Yeah, yeah. It's there's a ton of factors that make them weaker. Not to mention like AOE is really good at abusing bad AI too.
Mm,
Yeah. Like even Nakari's literal _2 damage ability. I think that's almost getting there. I think if CA keeps going that direction, then we could see it. See
yeah.
some buff spells.
uh So, which by the way, if y'all haven't, make sure to check out Anticity's YouTube channel because there's so much educational content on there, and he even does it like in bite-sized chunks. So it's not even like most YouTubers where you have to watch 10 minutes of them rambling so that they can hit their ad revenue spot. Like he literally just has like these little 30 second things that it's very nice. So be sure to check that out, whether you're listening or watching this live. But okay, so let's kind of throw Mortal Empires to the side for a bit. So as far as the Game 3 is concerned, somebody asked, "What about rune magic?" Oh man, I don't even know what to think about that as far as like multiplayer in Game 3 is going to be concerned, because it's not really magic. It's it's pretend magic. It's they just filled up your ability slots. But I mean it'll be good because it's free. Yeah. So, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about Game 3 as far as one of the things that has definitely been coming up a lot is how people are like feeling about the game in general. And I'm curious, for someone that plays a lot. I mean, you play a lot. You play more than I do by a significant margin, which is a lot. So, and you play a lot of multiplayer and single player. And you could feel free to separate those into separate categories if you want. But how are you currently feeling about the game?
Yeah, I will say, the worst part, the absolute worst part about the game for me right now, unfortunately, is the community rather than the actual game, multiplayer and campaign. In terms of like the actual game itself, like community aside,
we'll come back to them.
Yeah, we'll come back to them. Yeah, but the game itself, no, I love it. It's like I enjoy Warhammer 2 because it's existed for a long time and has a million DLCs. But Warhammer 3 is great. There's like tons of new factions. There's a whole new map. Multiplayer is fun. It's dynamic. I think there's a lot of like the playstyle is different. Where like, you know, if you have Nurgle, he plays very tight formations. Right? Some people don't like that. I think a lot of players in my own clan, they really like kite play styles. In Warhammer 3, only one faction can do that.
Yeah. So it's like the anti-kite group of races. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I like, you know, there's like, so variety, there's less variety, but that's to be expected, obviously. But like, yeah, no, I think so the question was just my thoughts on Warhammer.
Are there any like standout things about the game for you right now, whether in single player or multiplayer?
That I enjoy or that I don't enjoy?
It could be either.
Just anything. Yeah, I think like, well, actually, with 1.1, I think the current campaign that I'm playing right now is very fun. Having the portals be an optional but tempting goal to go for.
Oh yeah, huge difference. Huge difference.
Yeah, like because before the patch, it was like, okay, I am playing the portal campaign. Now it's like, yeah, it's like I'm constantly making choices every time they pop up, and then I'm building the building to prevent them from spawning. I think that, like, the game feels like full now. Like it has it has all the pieces. Now
I would agree that it is by far the most substantive change. I finished my first legendary campaign yesterday with Kugoth, which is a very difficult campaign. Kugoth is his start position is rough because of that exposed ocean you have to Kislev and the dwarfs. But being able to decide where the portals would appear actually ended up being much more careful decision making than I thought it would be. Like, I kind of expected it just to be every time I take a province, I would just build that so I don't have to deal with it. But I found myself constantly going like, okay, because I'm playing on legendary, like I'm really wanting to like get all the demon prince souls I need. Like I need to get to a portal quickly when they appear so that I can take advantage of them super duper fast. So if I build these in every one of my territories, the nearest portal is going to be very far away. So there were like genuine times where I was like not building that building in like some territory that I knew Kugoth was going to be around, or even destroying that building, or thinking about destroying it. That way Kugoth could just immediately jump in and peace out. But not having to deal with those guaranteed showing up in every province, it's crazy how big of a difference that has made for my enjoyment of the campaign.
Mm-hmm. Like especially on higher difficulties where you don't want to just have armies just hanging around just for base defense. Yeah. Um, but like right now, I can easily enjoy the campaign a ton. Although I miss the old difficulty of Warhammer 2 because they did make it easier. But that's what modding's for. So actually, I contacted one of my clanmates, or he contacted me, and said that he can make like return of the AI cheats from Warhammer 2, amp up their aggression, and like double the unit sizes.
And that's like, I feel like you're the only person in the world that wants that. Like, what,
So yeah,
what a masochistic desire. Just
that's
like,
true. In terms of literally everyone that I've seen, yeah, it's a very uncommon stance.
like it's like I beat legendary for the achievement, and I'm like, all right, I'm never touching that difficulty again. Like I enjoy very hard, but like legendary very hard, oh god. Like drives me, just it's too much. It's too much. But that's good though. And I have found that I'm much in the same boat as you as far as like is the game perfect? No, but I do very much enjoy it. It's a different experience, but I think that's why I'm enjoying. I don't know about you, but I personally feel that if it was just like crappier Mortal Empires, like it was just the exact same experience as Mortal Empires, right? So like there was no rift system, there was no demon prince race, and it's just like conquer a certain amount of territory and you're done. I feel like I would be having substantially less fun personally right now, just because of not having all of the different races and not having all of the exact same map. I think like the tools that I have available at the moment, the demon prince race for me is like, oh, okay, I can like actually enjoy this because I'm doing something different for now. And am I eventually gonna burn out on it? Probably, but like I've been having a pretty good time with it. I've played multiple campaigns, and am still like really excited to start my next one, because I don't know. I feel like there's this weird disconnect between people that are able to enjoy the experience in a vacuum, like enjoy it just for what it is, versus people who are just constantly like in the mindset of, man, I really want this to be what I was doing in Warhammer 2, and it's just not that, and it's not meant to be that, and it's really bad at being that because, you know, it's not what it was. It's not what it's designed to be.
Yeah, like Warhammer 2 Mortal Empires is sort of the ultimate sandbox.
Mm.
In Warhammer 3, if I think, yeah, like without all of the other factions, would it be that great of a sandbox? Like I don't know, but
I don't think it
also
would.
mods too.
It's like it's it doesn't, it feels like it. Funny enough, one of my complaints with Warhammer 3 is I actually feel it's a little too sandboxy, the Realm of Chaos campaign, because it feels like they want you to play a narrative, right? They're like, hey, we want you, like there is a specific story or mission you're trying to accomplish, and it feels much more kind of in your face than the narrative from Warhammer 2 felt for me personally, because you cannot like the Vortex campaign, it did not feel like you were playing like a true narrative. It felt like you were playing basically Mortal Empires, and then you would just get randomly interrupted every 25 to 50 turns or however fast your resource of the vortex material was, where the game would be like, hey, you're gonna get attacked by some random horde armies, and then you'll get a cutscene. And you're like, oh, okay. But like you know, it wasn't you didn't have to do anything. You would just kind of react to being attacked by this like mysterious race that would pop up. Whereas in Warhammer 3, you're the aggressor, and it feels much more like, okay, I am doing something. And if anything, I kind of find myself almost irritated when the game transitions to like, oh, okay, you're waiting between the portal timers, so now be in a pseudo sandbox for 20 turns, where you're just kind of like hanging in there. And I kind of find myself wishing there were more story objectives that I could focus on, because I just I don't know, like I just don't find the empire building to be the satisfying aspect of Warhammer 3.
Yeah, I think for me, I do enjoy a bit of empire building here and there.
Mm.
It's mostly just suffering. It's it's my jam.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, any customization that lets me do that is mostly what gets me happy. But like, I don't think it's a terrible thing to have this campaign as like a directed campaign, because yeah, the vortex is like halfway there.
Mm.
And then eventually, once we get Mortal Empires, then people have the choice, and then it should be good. And like, I don't know. I haven't talked to enough. Have you talked to anyone that has like people who aren't as integrated with the community and their thoughts on the Portal campaign?
I've had quite a few folks come by like streams, or that I've had the chance to speak to, who like they did not play Warhammer 2. Like they have zero experience with it. Warhammer 3 is their first experience, and for a lot of them, it's like it's much more positive overall. The most annoying thing they'll say, honest to God, is they'll play and they'll go, so I was playing this game, and then I like met some people, and they told me about this thing called Mortal Empires, and said that I should just wait until it comes out. It's like, I mean, like I can see where they're coming from, but like, Jesus, that's like it just happens a lot. But like I will say they are a minority, because it does feel like most people that would really be interested in Warhammer 3, that did not know or didn't play Warhammer 2, is either people who have Game Pass and are like, I have no idea what this is, but it's shiny, so I guess I'll try it. And then within that group, you're gonna have a very small group of people who are like, oh, it's a strategy game, I enjoy this. Because let's just be honest, strategy is kind of a niche market. You know, not a lot of people can struggle with strategy games. And Total War is also not the easiest of strategy games. It's not the hardest by any means, in my opinion, but it's also not the easiest. But I have met quite a few people who play the game in a vacuum and enjoy it. And if they didn't, the number one complaint would always be that the chaos rifts are like really interrupting my experience. But since patch 1.1, that's not a thing anymore. Granted, I do feel like the game, I don't know if the devs have done this, but I feel like if you are playing it with the tutorials turned on, the game should explicitly point out that building and be like, if you don't want the rifts in your territory, build this building. And the game does feel much friendlier to new people than Warhammer 2 was. Like that, it's so undeniable, it's not even funny, that Warhammer 2 is much more unforgiving as far as like learning how to play it. And I'd have to check the numbers, but I would be very surprised if you were to compare Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 at similar points in their timelines. I think a vastly higher percentage of the player base in Warhammer 3 has actually finished a campaign compared to the Warhammer 2 audience. or Warhammer 1. God forbid Warhammer 1. Warhammer 1 campaigns were brutal because it was just purely painting the map, and the vast majority of the player base never finishes a paint the map campaign.
Yeah, that was like just sandbox. Your goal is not to finish the campaign.
Yeah, it's just it's like as much as people enjoy that mode, the staunch majority of people that play a paint the map will hit a point where they're like, yeah, I'm done. I feel like starting a new campaign because like they get to the late game and it becomes very samey, you know, where you're just like trying to end the turn as fast as you can, and you're just auto resolving as many battles as you can because you're like, I just want to be done. I just want to be done. And I find that the narrative aspects help stop that. But so you know, there's a lot of differences of opinion out there at the moment, but I do think that there is a very loud opinion, and I just want to very much throw myself at it as far as I do think the game is extremely fun. I think the game is in a good place. I am very excited for where the game's going, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, sorry. I had to get on that soapbox for a second.
It's good. There's not a lot of that where because most people are just, you know, they want to just like talk about problems in the game or whatever. Like because like I put up a video basically doing that a while ago, which had a pretty good response just from people who wanted to hear a bit of positivity.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like it's really weird. I feel like I've said before, it's fine if people are unhappy with the game. It just sucks to be happy about the game and see them actively turning new players away. Like it's
Yeah.
like oh yeah, like they're not happy about the game, but they also want everyone else to be unhappy about the game.
Yeah. And I mean that's man. There have been, I mean, I have people come into the stream when I'll be live streaming, and there will legit be people that come in and they're like, is this game fun? Because like based on the way people talk about it, it seems very not fun. And it's like, no, it is. It's actually really enjoyable. Like it's a fun game. Like it is a good time. And like the amount, I mean, I get people coming in, they go, hey, Sotek, can I get your opinion on I've been like watching YouTube videos or reading the forums and stuff, and people are talking about how the game's dead. Like the game's totally dead. CA's gonna stop supporting it. It's gonna be Three Kingdoms, even though that was a very weird and specific situation. Like, what's happening? It's like, dude, relax. You need to quit doom scrolling, okay? Like it's fine. The game's fine. Like, we're a lot of people are just kind of, there's a very specific experience that the game has the ability to offer that is not in it yet. And there's a very large audience of people that only want that experience and cannot be damned to stop talking about that they only want that experience until it comes out. And I think that's the thing that drives me crazy, is that they know this thing is coming, right? Like, and you have these people that say, oh, well, I'm just going to like, you know, I'll put the game away and do something else until Mortal Empires comes out. Okay, that's great. That's fair. But then you have the people that say, no, I am going to bitch endlessly until I get what I want, because I'm not going to name names, but I know people who explicitly have stated and think that being endlessly aggressive about how much they hate the game, or how much they hate that Mortal Empires is not in the game, and how much they hate waiting, will result in it coming out faster, which is so not correct. That is so painfully not true. That is not how any of this works. It's just not. Like, if anything, I can say very confidently that because there was such a extreme reaction and CA was like, oh shit, we need to pivot and make sure patch 1.1 has all these like massive changes, that delayed Mortal Empires by a month instead of causing it to come out faster. You know what I mean? And like I can't imagine how frustrating it is to be a dev or like one of the community team members and stuff like that.
Oh boy.
Like
No, I would not want that job.
No, like,
That would be terrible.
I'm really good friends still with Grace, who no longer works at CA. I am so glad for her she no longer works at CA, because Jesus Christ, that must be awful.
It's terrifying. Because like even like when you make, if you make YouTube videos, right? You might get like a bit of the community that's just like, oh, I like this type of video, but that's usually like a very like you can go off of your just like your personality and play like a completely different game, and it's not as bad as being a developer who is making the stuff that people want. And then like the minor mistakes just like get blown up. Like people get death threats.
Yeah.
Well, like while they are literally working on Immortal Empires.
Yeah.
For the people who are sending the death threats.
I see the community wants this problem fixed. I'm going to start working on fixing this problem. Wow, they hate me. It's just like,
oh boy.
Damn, dude. Damn, dude. Like I'm no longer being nice about it. It's just whiny bitching. People do. Oh yeah, dude. People do, yeah. There's a substantial amount of death threats that get to the community team and the devs, and it's so just stupid. It's A, it's a video game, and B, it's not even over like some deeply offensive issue in the video game. It's just like people are just so impatient that they're willing to. It's just obnoxious. And that's my thing, is that like if you don't like the game because, and the thing is, I haven't met anybody. I've not met a single soul, and like if these people exist, like I'd genuinely be interested to hear your opinion. I've not met a single soul that said, wow, I hate this game, I am not looking forward to anything coming out for it, and I have no interest in playing it. This game sucks. It is always, I hate this particular experience. I am very excited for Mortal Empires. Therefore, I'm going to be toxic as fuck until Mortal Empires comes out. And it's like, that's so... Why? Why would you do this? It's just so unnecessary. Just go away. Go play Elden Ring for 4 months or anything. Like, if you hate the Realm of Chaos, okay, that's totally valid. Go play something else and come back when Mortal Empires comes out. You're not helping. You're not helping at all. And I just, it's just wild. It's just wild, because there are people out there who are trying really hard to be helpful. You know, there are a lot of people who play the game. They go, this is like, there's a bug here, or there's like an issue here. I'm going to point this out and see if I can help fix this issue. Like, you know, like a lot of people have been talking about, you know, we had the responsiveness bug, which is a lot better now. You know, it's not, I don't know if it's like to the level Warhammer 2 is at yet, but it's patch 1.1 like brought that in really big. Like, feedback is great. Feedback is awesome. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that you shouldn't point out problems in the game. I think the issue is that what's not helpful is when the reaction is every time someone finds an issue, they go, oh man, I found another issue. I knew this game was shit. This game's always been shit. And like, this is just an example of how shit it is. You remember when this issue didn't exist in Warhammer 2, even though it assuredly did, and then got fixed, and then it came back, and then it got fixed, and then it came back, and then it got fixed. How dare it come back in this game? And it's like, it's just, I don't understand where these unrealistic expectations are coming from. It's like people have completely forgotten what Warhammer 2 was like, or just look like the rose-colored glasses for Warhammer 2 just drives me crazy. Of that, like we have a substantial amount of issues that have been fixed or show up, and it's like, guys, it comes back. Like, it's just Enticity, you still there? Oh, I think his internet may have died because he's holding that face just a little too a little too well. Uh-oh. Okay. I'm sure he'll be back. He's thinking very hard. But he will get back, I'm sure, as soon as he can. He's unimpressed. He's like, damn, Sotek, I thought this was supposed to be a positive stream. This is so negative sounding. But anyway, okay. Hey, welcome back. Are you okay?
My PC might have exploded, but I'll call on my phone.
Well, I hope it didn't actually explode. It's okay.
Yeah, I think I just have to restart it.
Fair enough. Okay, so I think unless there's anything in particular you wanted to add, I think it is time to move on to the part that I'm excited to talk about.
Oh, no, I think us ranting about people ranting section is basically done.
That was more for our catharsis than anything else. But one thing that I'm really excited to talk about is the future of Total War Warhammer 3, and like the things that I am deeply looking forward to, not including Mortal Empires. Like, we all know everyone's excited for Mortal Empires. It's going to be amazing. Like, I cannot express that enough, that I have heard from like devs that I have the ability to speak with casually, that like they know how big of a deal Mortal Empires is, and like I feel very confident they're going to put everything they have into making sure that the launch of Mortal Empires is as good as it possibly can be. Welcome back.
Nice.
So with that in mind, we're going to talk a little bit about the future of Total War Warhammer 3 in and of itself, without Mortal Empires, because we all, like, everyone's excited for it. That's not news. So I will start as far as things that I am very, very excited for, that I feel very confident are coming to the game. And I think for me, the thing that I am genuinely the most excited for, that is coming and is undeniable that it's coming, is the very heavy Warriors of Chaos rework that is going to be bringing us God-specific goodies. As far as being able to see the like, I feel very confident after the episode we had, our last episode of Lorebeards that we had with Andy Hall, where he finally answered my rambling question to CA that I kept bugging them with endlessly, about whether the monogod factions in Warhammer 3 are demons or just monogod, and he said they are demons. They are the demons of chaos monogod with little dashes of Warriors of Chaos, but they're not true monogod. That has made me so excited for the Warriors of Chaos, because it means we're going to see kind of that mirror of that. We're going to get to see the Warriors of Chaos with maybe sprinklings of demons, or maybe sprinklings of some like undivided stuff. But like, I am so deeply hopeful for like a big focus on like Warriors of Nurgle, led by like Festus the Leech Lord, and having maybe some new units brought in, whether they be inspired from Age of Sigmar or stuff like that. So of like having the Warriors of Chaos of Nurgle, of having unique campaign mechanics, unique like and just seeing how it's going to be different, because I really like the demon factions, but I just have a very deep love for the Warriors of Chaos, and I it felt almost weird having them as the oldest race DLC in Warhammer 1 and going through Warhammer 2 and them not getting any major updates. Like they you know, they got little smatterings of stuff, but there wasn't like new legendary lords, substantial new units and stuff like that. And I am so excited to see them show up and really get an overhaul as far as like, you know, we've seen little bits and pieces as far as like, oh, the Warriors of Chaos can take settlements now. The Warriors of Chaos can have walls. The Warriors of Chaos, you know, we already know there are going to be some new units as far as we've got the Doom Knights of Tzeentch and the Skull Crushers of Khorne, and the Marauders of Slaanesh with the God, I have a brain fart. The Hellstriders. I am so excited to see how that's going to truly shape the Warriors of Chaos. And I really, really hope they've done for the Warriors what they've done for the Demons, as far as like, I would love to see us have, okay, Archaon and Kolek Suneater are Warriors of Chaos Undivided. And then if you play like Sigvald, you get to play the Warriors of Chaos of Slaanesh, where they're all Slaanesh themed. Maybe they have unique skins, maybe. Like
Too much.
I'm just looking at potentials. But like, you know, maybe we could see like the marks be like a new unit type as opposed to just like a banner, or maybe like an upgrade system like the greenskins have. You could like apply a mark to your army that gives them like new stats or new abilities, like a new passive or something, and really let them be different. Like I would love for it to be like, wow, okay, if you play the Warriors of Slaanesh with Sigvald, you have a different tech tree, you have different abilities, and like you're still the Warriors of Chaos. Like your roster still primarily revolves around the Warriors of Chaos. You have all the Warrior of Chaos units, but you have the ability to like enhance them with Slaaneshi things. And you also have like maybe some kind of fast track system that allows you to get certain demons. And then because man, that would be dope. That would just be so dope. And then have Archaon just be like this granted, this kind of goes into one of my very minor but also major complaints with Warhammer 3, in that I don't actually like the Godslayer faction, because I feel like he does too much of everything. Like, in that I don't like that he has access to mortals. I feel like he should be pure demons like he is in custom battles. In campaign, I don't think he should have access to mortal units. Just let him be pure undivided demons of chaos, but he gets access to all of the demons instead of the system now where it's a little funky. But then you could have Archaon when you play the Warriors of Chaos. He has access to all the Warriors of Chaos units. And if you want the demons, you know, you got to like use the allegiance system. But that for me is probably the number one DLC I think about that I'm really hoping for Warhammer 3 is, which I don't know if that's going to be soon in Warhammer 3 or if that's going to be like late in Warhammer 3. But that is, for me, that is the thing that I think the most about it.
Nah, I'm just looking forward to Chaos Dwarves.
I like that I go on like this super long tirade. It's just like, that's cool, man, but Chaos Dwarves.
Yeah, no, I'm willing to drop all the other factions for Chaos Dwarves. Oh man.
Okay, so elaborate a little bit. What is it about the Chaos Dwarves specifically that have you like so excited?
Because in Warhammer 1, when I first started out, dwarves were my favorite faction.
Hmm.
So
you're going to betray them immediately?
it's the next closest thing that I can have access to. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, like I think no matter what DLC they put out, the DLCs are pretty good. Even if it's just half the DLC, there's usually like really good like mechanics added or whatever, right? With any big content drop. But yeah, I think I feel like, okay, this is me without any internal context.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have a better guess than mine. But like the fact that the Darklands is just right in the middle, just waiting to be occupied by a major faction. I feel like,
Oh yeah, dude, I would
yeah,
be shocked if there are not like at least two, but honestly probably three Chaos Dwarf legendary lores just boom right in the Darklands. You got one in the north, one in the east, and one in the south, and it's like there, done. And then probably one in some really random place on the map because they always like to have that one character that's off in the boonies. But Chaos Dwarfs are going to be crazy because their faction is so particular, and I'm so curious how they're going to balance it as far as so in tabletop. For anyone that didn't play, Chaos Dwarfs were a very bizarre army because very much like, you know, a lot of people talk about with Dwarfs versus Chaos Dwarfs in Total War, the Chaos Dwarfs were basically dwarfs, but they had access to everything instead of just infantry and a couple of flying copter units. You know, they have cavalry, they have monstrous cavalry, they have monsters, they have wizards. Like, they have all these tools that the dwarves are just sitting there like, son of a bitch. But we're not allowed to have those. But in tabletop, the cost was literally the cost in two ways. There was kind of the fourth wall breaking system that the Chaos Dwarfs were literally one of the most expensive armies to collect in the game because they were Forge World only. But in the actual game, points wise, the Chaos Dwarf units were so expensive. So they were like this really tiny, super elite army that they had all these tools, but they were so expensive from like a unit cost level that they would actually they were very, very difficult to play because they were so grossly outnumbered by everybody, unless they took just a ton of hobgoblins, and hobgoblins were just like garbage. like they were there just to give you more numbers, but and maybe capture objectives, but other than that they weren't going to do shit, you know. They were there to skirmish and hold off your opponent so you could shoot them as long as possible. But I'm very curious to see how they'll be adapted to live play, as far as like, I don't know if maybe like the actual, so when I say Chaos Dwarf units, I mean like the actual Chaos Dwarf units, not the race Chaos Dwarfs, but the actual Chaos Dwarf entities. I'm curious, like, are they just going to make them very expensive as far as like upkeep or multiplayer cost, or are they going to make it where they have like less models per unit than people might expect? So like where dwarfs might have like, I'm just randomly pulling a number out of my butt, but like 60 Longbeards or 60 Ironbreakers, would the equivalent for the Chaos Dwarfs only have like 45 guys? It's gonna be interesting to see how they try and balance that.
yeah, but like I actually sort of trust them to manage that. The fact that ogres, remember when everyone was talking about how ogres would just not work as a faction?
Yeah, that's true. Everyone was like, yeah,
Yeah.
ogres are going to be trashed here because anti-large exists.
Yeah, but like it actually, all things considered, they hit the mark on ogres pretty well.
Hmm.
A lot better than I would have thought. And now no one's talking about it. Like everyone's still like, ah, yeah, no, CA can't balance. But like
Yeah.
aside from like one or two units that were off the mark, like the faction works. So they'll come up with something with Chaos Dwarves.
Yeah, I really, the only like unit balance wise, game 3 was like really solid for like the sheer amount of different units that are in the game. The vast majority of them perform really, really well. And the overperforming units, a lot of that was due to a very specific bug, as opposed to like the units being balanced poorly, being like chariots and stuff. And then there were some shooting units that were a little overtuned, with like the Iron Blaster and the Kislev War Sleds and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that may also be due to that type of unit is like relatively new and is also kind of like a major focus of this game, is very powerful mobile shooting platforms. Because like we had shooting platforms in Warhammer 1 and 2, but they were super weak with like the war wagons. Like they were very silly. And like their shooting was the only thing they could do. Like they were garbage in combat. whereas like the Kislev war sleds are pulled by polar bears and are actually like fairly scary. And also they're shooting punched a lot harder. And then we had stuff like the Iron Blaster, which is just brutal. and it was too accurate for how much it shot because it was a single entity. But now that they're kind of getting those under control, I'm actually, frankly, when you mention it, I'm pretty shocked at how well balanced the game is as far as like unit performance.
Saying that in the multiplayer community is controversial. It's like people, they have different expectations, but like everyone thought ogres were going to be garbage, like in campaign and multiplayer.
Yeah, and they really came out of the gate swinging, like really. Yeah. Like ogres were like one of the only 1 or 2 factions that the multiplayer community had to ban certain picks because they're so good.
Yeah, instant restrictions on a lot of the units once we figured out what was the best. But yeah, like right now they're in a pretty good spot. They're strong, but it's not like if you look at Beastmen in game 2, like probably weaker than like the strongest faction and like that impact in game 2. So
yeah, the other thing I'm very curious about is I think it's safe to say that where Kislev and Cathay feel very much like full starter races, like there's definitely a lot of different ways they can expand the roster, and it's very easy to see the ways they can expand the roster. They're fairly well rounded. The demon factions are very unique in that they're very pigeonholed, and it's also simultaneously very difficult to see where they're going to go with them because they literally have every single demon in the roster already. And I don't know where they're going to go as far as like how to expand the roster. Like, are they going to try and squeeze more mortal units in there? Are they going to bring in like the demon units from Age of Sigmar, which like could exist in fantasy very easily? Like there's no reason they couldn't. It's not like a new form of technology was developed that the demons would have to utilize in order to have their AOS units. It's gonna be I'm very curious to see how they're gonna expand that, because like if the answer is to use mortal stuff, it almost opens the question of why they didn't have more mortal stuff in there in the first place. Because like I think you could heavily argue that if Nurgle had access to Chaos Knights of Nurgle, he would have a substantially different variety of options. Or if they all had access to like, Chaos Giants of their particular flavor, or but the units that they got is very, very, very limited, and is a very like itty bitty spattering. Like personally, I'm hoping for new and exotic demons, to really just like take the imagination of the demons as far as it can go. And maybe if we're really lucky, we could get the mono beastmen too. Not though the Cornitors cracked me up because that I was like, Corngors, and they were like, no, Minotaurs with the mark of corn. And it's like, but why not Corngors, which are a thing and already exist? So I'm curious if they're also saving the monogod beastmen, because the Cornitors are very explicitly not Corngors. They're just Minotaurs of corn, as opposed to like an actual unique species, so to speak. And then it's like, when we get beastmen back, are Minotaurs of corn going to be available to the beastmen as like an elite Minotaur unit, or will they be like Taurux only, or like what? what? I need answers. I need answers. But okay, so Chaos Dwarfs are the new race you seem to be looking forward to the most. Is there any particular like race from Warhammer 3 that the idea of a DLC has you like, man, I'm really curious to see where they're going to take this?
Ooh. I guess actually I guess chances of the Demon Prince getting a DLC, nada.
No, he's like, best case scenario is they're gonna add Be'lakor playable to his faction, and tweak Be'lakor so he can show up in multiplayer, so that you have
Yeah.
Be'lakor option and then the 5 demon princes, and make them playable. That would be nice. I like, honestly, I think once the Mortal Empire races show up, I don't think the Demons of Chaos will be that overpowered.
Oh no, I think all Warhammer 3 factions are. They don't stand a chance to Warhammer
Yeah,
2
so
factions.
I am really hoping that once Mortal Empires comes in, they will allow the Demons of Chaos Undivided to join multiplayer, because it's like they'll be fine.
Yeah, it's mostly just like the overlap with other stuff, but like in terms of like balance in just like a straight up fight outside of other meta stuff, it works.
Yeah. Um
But like you were talking about the about which faction would have an interesting DLC. I really want to see Cathay because I just seeing more of Cathay is super interesting. You said that they have a pretty well-rounded roster. For me, I feel like there are still some sort of gaps. It's sort of like it feels like dwarves if they didn't have slayers. It's like it's missing that like one. There's like a few gaps in their
yeah.
roster that hurt them. But like there's like so many ways they could go about it.
Oh
Just
yeah.
so many ways. You could get like vampire cancer in Cathay. Like it's so.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Oh my
I mean, Jade vampires. I think I'm so not down with that idea, but I understand.
Never
I understand the desire, but like we know about, it's the Onyx Crowmen, which we have no idea what those are even supposed to be. Or sorry, the many-eyed Onyx Crowmen. Like, that description sounds horrifying, especially because we know that they are apparently quite large. Like, they're like, I think they're like supposed to be monstrous infantry-ish sized. So that could be crazy. The monkey men, like we don't know about the monkey warriors. We don't know if, like, is there one type of monkey warrior? Is there multiple types? Like, is it just that you have the monkey king and like his race just has like 1 or 2 variants, or is it like, no, there's a gorilla unit and there's an orangutan unit and there's like like, how is this gonna work? Because we know that the monkey warriors are with Cathay. Like, they are very explicitly Cathay boys. But like there are so many things. Like, there are 3 more dragon kids. We might see them as playable. The Monkey King is obviously a legendary lord that's going to show up. And anyone who says otherwise is a damn fool. Because they are being super cagey about the Monkey King, which makes me think he's coming very, very soon. Because Games Workshop refuses to tell us what his name is. I've had backdoor private secret conversations with people from multiple sources that are like, I'm like, what's the Monkey King's name? And they're like, I'm sorry, man, I can't. It's just like, why is this such a secret? So yeah, I'm very, very curious where Cathay will, because I feel like a lot of the stuff they gave us was like, okay, here's a lot of the human stuff, and now we have pretty much like just crazy mystical things left to go. Like, I'm sure there will be some more humanish units too. Like, I still find myself shocked that they don't have horse archers.
Oh yeah.
Like
Wasn't
that,
there like a picture of them or something?
probably, but like, it feels like a very silly unit not to have that could probably add some pretty nice value. And like, we know there are martial artists. There's a huge martial art thing in Cathay. So where am I like, I need like a level of martial arts or kung fu inspired by the movies that are so beloved from everyone from the 80s. Like, that level of absurdism, but Warhammerified, so even more absurd.
Yeah.
My Jackie
like,
Chan and my Bruce Lee inspirations, please.
Yo, some actual fighter heroes.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah, like we got what the fanciest things we got were terracottas and the balloons, right? Those were like,
As far as like unique, yeah, and like the Dragon
Yeah.
Kids, even though the Dragon Kids are like the exact same, they just have different magic.
yeah, I mean like outside of like lords and stuff, like the roster, you know, the balloons are pretty cool. That's like a different, like I don't think we've had flying artillery
No,
before.
though, don't say
Yeah,
that where the
so
dwarfs can hear you because they'll get very upset.
I know Cathay got it first,
Yeah,
but
Cathay got it first,
yeah,
which is so not fair to the Dawi.
they've been waiting for years.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it's slow progress, but yeah, like the rest of the roster, yeah, it's just all it's humans, cavalry, normal cavalry. Like Cathay feels like it should be the chaos dwarves. And like if you compare chaos dwarves to normal dwarves, and you compare Cathay to Empire, I feel like that difference should be the same.
Yeah.
Right now, they sort of feel like too empire-y, like just like a slight shift from Empire. But yeah, because like demons, I can sort of imagine what their DLCs like could be. You know, you could get like some humans or like in terms of like I don't know what it is, but like I know what to expect more.
Mm.
It's like yeah, you can get like some cool demons or you know, just like something big.
Uh-oh. Well, this time it cut him off mid-sentence. Brutal. He'll be back. Don't worry. Oh, God. Yeah, the Thunder Barge. Oh, the Thunder Barge. Please, Thunder Barge. I'm like, I honestly think the dwarfs are the race that, like, the potential things that we can get. I am dying to get my hands on. Thunder Barges and Shard Dragons and Goblin Hewers and Doom Seekers and Rune Priests heroes and Demon Slayers and Dragon Slayers and Rune Golems. Just it sounds so magical. It sounds so magical. Yes, Night in Flames, I did see that. It was delicious. You're getting the Shard Dragon. You're getting it. You're gonna like it, and you're gonna deal with it. You're getting it. Just accept that. just accept it. It's happening. There's nothing you could do about it. If you don't like it, then just don't use it. But it's coming, so sit down and be quiet.
Wait, what's the shard dragon?
A shard dragon is a big single entity monster that the dwarfs got from the Monsters Arcanum in Total War Warhammer. So it's like a terrifying lizard creature that bleeds acid, and its scales are so tough they're grommel thick, and it's
Dang.
fast and mean. It can't fly, but it's like a big creepy monster that crawls along the ground and kills people.
It was sick. And the dwarves have this?
Yep. Yes, it is the only faction that it was considered like friendly with is the dwarves, because they learned how to dominate them using runic collars. And here's the thing, chat. You can people are like, oh, the shard dragon. Listen, Thoric Ironbrow has a collared Carnosaur, which is a direct reference to the runic collars used to control shard dragons. It's happening. Deal with it. If you don't like it, don't use it. But don't you dare suggest that we shouldn't get it. Sit down and shut up. I don't want to hear it. Sorry. It just that you were saying something before your computer interrupted you.
I think we should talk about let's talk about what difference
Demons.
between Cathay. We talked about
You're talking about
then we moved
like what
special units.
might show up in the demons in the future.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't see the most thing I'm hyped about for the demons is if Slanesh gets Mirror Guard.
Oh, yeah, instead of it being just like ROR, are you talking about like the ROR specifically, or do you want like a standardized version of the ROR?
So I have a theory, right? Tzeentch technically got the Chaos Spawn ROR.
That's true. The
so
weird
I feel
spawn.
Yeah, because they have the same armor reduction passive, right? So maybe they dish out some of the RORs to the other. I don't know. I don't know enough about lore to really.
No. I mean I think that so there's the Mirror Guard are almost they're basically the Mirmadesh Painbringers from Age of Sigmar, which are like the elite Warriors of Chaos that are Slanesh specific. And I think that is a very realistic thing that we might see. Listen, if CA wanted to like blow everybody's mind, then a Warriors of Chaos DLC that like legit had like unique versions of a lot of the units for the god specifics would like everyone would lose their shit. Where it's like, no, you don't just get like warriors, like basic chaos warriors. You have basic chaos warriors, but then you also have chaos warriors of Khorne, who are like a different unit, not just a regular unit. But yeah, anyway. Okay, so the last question I have for you in regards to like exciting future stuff is, okay, we've talked about new race being added. Your favorite is Chaos Dwarfs. The one I'm the most excited for, it would be the Naga of Koresh. I feel 100% that we're getting them at some point. I've lost it. I've fully gone down the rabbit hole. And especially because we recently got the lore update that the Dreadmaw is now a Naga of Koresh monster instead of just being like some random ass generic monster. To me, that was like a huge, like, it's happening. But like, man, Snakemen faction, evil Snakemen, like we're gonna be getting evil Lizardmen essentially, finally.
Okay.
Like they're not, obviously they're not actually Lizardmen, but like they're, Snakemen, Lizardmen, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be truly magical. So my last question is for you: which of the Warhammer 1 and 2 races are you the most excited for their inevitable DLC in Warhammer 3?
Oh boy, you know the answer. It's dwarves.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, what we were talking about when your internet cut died for a second, I was literally just like listing off all the different things that I'm excited. Like this is maybe a controversial take, and it's something I need to make a video on, but I'm preaching it everywhere I go. There should be no more Lord packs. There shouldn't. I think Lord packs are trash, and they should die in a fire, and we shouldn't use them anymore. What we should get is every race should just get a big DLC. Like, take the Lord pack, but make it for one race, and make it good. That way I don't have half of a DLC that's great and the other half sucks. which has been the case like all the time. How about we just do one DLC for every race, and it's big and it's great. then we're done. It's awesome.
Like Vampire Coast, Tomb Kings, when they focus on one thing, it's great.
Yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, every Lord pack had amazing stuff in it, but it was virtually always that one team got really, really good stuff, and the other team was kind of like, it was all right. Lizardmen have no good DLCs. Yeah. Yeah. The units we got were useful, but yeah, no, the DLCs themselves are pretty trash. But like, Volkmar and Gorse was a pretty good lore pack. How dare you? How dare you say that in this chat?
The last DLCs I bought.
Yeah,
I remember I got like all the other stuff, and I was like, okay,
it was.
I gotta finish.
That was the most tepid. That is the perfect word to describe it. It was the most tepid DLC that any video game has ever received. It was so like not willing to like push boundaries. No, I'm not saying that Gorst is, well, I hate, like, Gorst was a waste of a slot, don't get me wrong, but like we could have had Dieter Hellschnitt, dude. We could have had a Master Necromancer Lord riding on a Manticore. Like, come on. Anyway, sorry.
The memes though, the memes,
Gorst, yeah,
years of memes.
Yeah. Dwarves have so much potential. Like Thunder Barge, giant flying artillery platform, shard dragons, so like big scary monster, rune golems, super tanky monstrous infantry, like a rune priestess of Valea. Give us a lady dwarf hero with like healing, doom seekers, another slayer unit, but that's like mass designed against swarms instead of monsters. Like demon slayer lords, dragon slayer heroes. So many options. And I just the goblin
like right now
hero.
they only had one free LC, right? Dwarves. Did they have anything else?
Um,
No, they had Thorak. No,
yeah,
not
we
Thorak.
got Thorak and Grombrindle.
No, the what's it? 8 Peaks.
Oh, DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So they had
Belagar.
yeah.
Yeah, they got. Well, listen, I've said it. Like, people want to talk about trash in Warhammer 3. Can we talk about how Warhammer 2 did Skaven versus Dark Elves instead of Skaven versus Dwarfs? Worst game ever made. How dare they?
Oh man. If we
Screw
never get
us
dwarves
like that.
versus chaos dwarves,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, hey, like, no more Lord packs, dude. Just give me a dwarf
yeah, that's
DLC.
True, that's true. Yeah.
Just give me a
my
dwarf
bad.
DLC that has all the stuff, and then give me no more Lord packs. That needs to be the slogan for Warhammer 3. No more Lord packs.
Sure. Yeah, as long as we get the content for them, we all just want to see the factions just shine, get good content.
Yeah, and like not every faction even needs like full DLCs anymore. Some of them could just use some like FLC tweaks. Like, do the Lizardmen need a full DLC? No. No. Like, if they wanted to, like, oh, here's a free LC Teto Echo, sure, I'll take it. But like, I would just like to see more interesting types of DLC. I'm so sick of Lord packs, and I think they're awful. Like, I'd much rather get like a Lord or a DLC that purely focuses on a single race and can have multiple lords in it. And then also have like themed DLCs. Like, could you imagine if there was like a Heroes of Legend DLC that just added a bunch of legendary heroes, and that's all it did? Like, hey, here's Chalkox for the Lizardmen, like a super bodyguard hero. Here's Shadowblade or somebody for the Dark Elves. Here's Screech Gnawtooth for Squeal Gnawtooth for the Skaven. Like, just add in heroes that can be taken with any of the factions, or in certain cases only specific factions, that just add a lot of really interesting dynamic system. I think that would be so nice. Sorry, Corin Darkhand, not Shadowblade.
People would find a way to complain about that because it's splitting amongst many factions. So
yeah, well,
I have to buy the whole DLC for one.
Yeah, they can eat a dick. I don't care.
Yeah.
They're gonna complain anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of space there. It's been like many years of development, unless like, I don't know, maybe like internally it just turns out the Lord versus Lord packs that's like the premium. That's peak DLC. It doesn't get better than that, but yeah, for sure there's a lot of space there.
Yeah, that it would be. Yeah, I mean, if people were so desperate they could theme it, like maybe there's a Heroes of Legend for the Game 1 races, and then a Heroes of Legend for the Game 2 races, and then the Game 3 races, stuff like that. Like, something like that could be fun. But yeah, I think that's
they could do microtransactions. You just buy one at a time.
Oh yeah, because that solved the problem. Yeah. Like, they just come out and they're like, okay, so people complained about how they don't like certain aspects of the DLCs, so we've split up everything into like $1.50 segments. So now,
perfect.
You no longer buy a Lord pack; you buy it on a unit by unit basis. That'll solve the problem. Surely, no one will complain about this method. Oh man,
I'm worried I'm giving them ideas now.
Yeah,
you never know.
That would be NFTs. Oh no, buy this limited NFT to get new units in Total War.
Oh boy.
Oh my god, that would truly be the worst. The worst timeline. Okay, so I think now I will go ahead and open the floor to chat, which we normally never do in these, but we will open the floor to chat if y'all have any specific questions for Enticity. I'm also here, but they should really be aimed at Enticity because he's not going to be here every episode. So if y'all have any questions about Total War Warhammer 3 or our thoughts on any particular thing, or if you have multiplayer questions in particular, though Enticity also knows like a ton about campaign, like that video you put out about the movement thing, that blew my mind. I was like, what? Why does it lie to me and act like it's a percentage instead of just a flat value? What is this bullshit?
So many things, so many random minor things about the game, but enough to build a career off of. That's a crazy thing.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. Some of these questions are, I'm going to skip the meme questions, at least for the moment. So, oh my gosh, what is your name? I'm just going to call you Gerla. There we go. Cause that's the end of it. Gerla asks, Enticity, do you get hand aches because of your micro?
Oh, dang. I did for a time. I wore an arm brace because like my right hand was getting like sore and tendons. I do rock climbing too, though.
Oh wow. So okay, so you're like,
yeah.
he's got strong.
Well, not recently, of course, but like the yeah, I think like the mix of that and Warhammer did it. When I was just doing programming and Warhammer, I didn't get too many problems. Ergonomics, it's important.
Okay, so what we've learned here is that not only does Enticity have intense micro, but he probably has like frightening grip strength as well. Okay, so some other questions here. Oh, let's see. Emperor Kala asked, did you see the Cathay map leak / release? And if so, did you have any thoughts on it?
Leak like
so there was an image that released that showed like the entirety of Cathay. Is something
that like the one that you made a video on?
Yes. Yeah, that thing.
Oh, okay. Yes, I saw it on Loremaster of Sotek's channel. And all I know about it is from you.
What a natural plug. Great job, everyone.
Yeah.
good job.
Oh man. Yeah. No, I think see, the thing is, right? Cathay having the map alone doesn't flesh it out for me. I get my like most of the lore from, or like the feeling of the lore from the DLC lords. So like the dwarves in my head, it's like it's Ungrim, right? And then you have 8 Peaks, and then you have Thorgrim. Like that is the dwarves to me. All the other settlements just like sort of pass by me. So like seeing the Cathay map, I'm like, okay, but like I want to know the legendary lords that are there.
Yeah. That is a very fair take. Let's see. Next one. Kanako, we're doing well, thank you. Night in Flames asks, have you ever considered doing multiplayer campaign tournaments?
Dang. What's it? Technically, there is a community for that. I heard that they're like just like sequestered away. No one knows about them, but they
hiding
exist.
in a pit. Yeah.
Yeah. As a tournament, I don't know how the rules would play out, because if you put money on the line, people are gonna play dirty.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I like in my head, I'm like, I could kind of see the Time of Darkness and Disharmony being used for that, but I feel like they would need to give us the ability to customize the rule set for it to be viable as a tourney setup, where it's like, the first, like, I wish we could customize the win objectives instead of it being like, because right now it's like flat 40 victory points within what is it, like 30 turns, and yeah, it's 30 turns or 40 victory points win condition. And it's like, it'd be really interesting if you could customize that so you could create an experience where it's like, oh, the first person to just have X amount of settlements or X amount of provinces or something. That could lead to some wild shenanigans.
Yeah, but like also each round would be like 5 hours long.
That's true. That's true.
But
Yeah.
like it's like almost there. Like if there was like a big content drop that really fleshed out that system, maybe. But like that's not on the chopping block right now.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Man, maybe I'll host one of those one of
I'd
these
play it.
days. That could be fun. Like a Time of Darkness Disharmony, you get 8 people, and it's just the rules are what's in there. Go nuts. See
I
who
would love to
wins.
try hard.
Yeah,
Try hard in the campaign.
I will. I'll have to think about that. I might. That is awfully tempting. I'm not gonna lie. I may actually do that one of these weeks.
It's not a big prize either. I'll play it if you host it. I'll be there.
Bardock 2504 asks, what will be your first Total War campaign in the combined map?
Mind map.
Who you gonna play first?
Oh boy. Let's
He
see.
has his question asked about a specific character, but I'm gonna let you answer this and see if you guessed it.
Oh, okay. Interesting. The combined map, it would probably be someone that's very close to the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say dwarves again, but it may very well be because they're really in the
I mean,
center of everything,
Thorgrim
you
is
know?
like
Yeah.
right there.
Oh man, and like I want to know how that plays out. I want to get invaded by the greenskins on turn 20, fight like 320 stacks. If it wasn't the dwarves though, it would be oh
Has to
dang,
be a specific.
the dark elves if there's enough water. I would do the dark elves if the ocean is connected.
Oh, okay, he guessed Karl Franz, or he asked if Franz was going to
Okay.
be your first
I
campaign.
knew it. I knew it.
I suspect though that's like more of a meme question than an actual question.
Yeah, the glorious 300 turn, or no, it went like 600 turns.
I was going to say
Yeah.
300 turns is not that much longer than a typical Mortal Empires campaign.
Yeah, no, the 600 turn full map dominance. I feel like
Jesus.
yeah, at some point I will return to the Friends campaign just for the memes.
Yeah, I
but
feel like because of the 600 turn campaign, Franz would be your last answer.
yeah, exactly.
Which is probably why he specified.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh wow, that's actually also a really interesting idea for a multiplayer campaign. So Fish Pickle said, what if you did the Realm of Chaos as a multiplayer tournament campaign, but it's whoever gets the first Demon Prince soul wins? So it's kind of that like first 25 turn, but you also are racing to stop each other from. I feel like for that to work, I would have to introduce a rule that the Realm of Slaanesh would be banned, because it would just be whoever got to the Chaos Rift first, because they cannot be catched. Because at least all the other realms you could be intercepted by the other players, which could add in some hilarious shenanigans.
I think if you do it Realm of Khorne only or Realm of Nurgle only, like so the first to complete that realm.
Yeah, that could be fun, especially because they're more like big arenas. That would be that could be really fun.
Yeah.
Damn, chat, y'all are on fire today. Monster Mash 71 asks, can Enticity talk a little bit about how he practices for tournaments?
Yeah. It's I find someone that has about 4 hours of free time a day, and then I'll bug them until we just like the actual tournament practice goes like you schedule training with someone, and then you practice one matchup for actually like 2 or 3 hours, maybe 2 matchups, if you're really grinding it out. But like in terms of like more meta strategies, it's like I play a tournament. If I lose, contact the person that beat me, train with them, and then just like build up from there. Because like it's a lot of just putting in the hours and really grinding more than just like, oh, I feel like playing this matchup today. But yeah, it's like I go pretty methodical about it, and like I never play quick battles. I think quick battles actually make you worse at tournaments. Yeah,
Uh,
for all the top 100 guys, I was there. Yeah.
it's not worth it. Get out while you can. Yeah, it really does kind of feel like it has its own very specific meta, and like design philosophy. The quick battle system, um, uh, which is why I really hope they get really on top of like a resetting ladder. But oh, something I wanted to ask about that I actually just remembered because of that stupid joke I just made. Have you been participating in Turin's new system with like his website and everything? How is that?
It is very good. Like I like the fact that it's getting customized more and designed for Warhammer tournaments. I quite enjoy it. Yeah, I
Awesome.
don't think it's not gonna like blow your mind out of the water, but it's a good tournament system. Like I would be sad if it went. But yeah, it's just like it's just like a dedicated Warhammer tournament page. Because
Mm,
like up till now we've just been using Challenge, which is like it almost gets there, but like I think he was talking about implementing data collection too.
mm.
And it like shows like the scores of all the players, which is really fun.
Yeah, Turin's been working really hard on that website.
Yeah.
One of these days I'm gonna get him on the show, but like I don't know. I gotta figure out what I have to do to lure him on here. It's difficult. Are you still? I remember in Warhammer 2, you had designed like your own kind of ranking system. Are you still working on that particular project, or have you kind of set that aside for a while?
So I'm still working on and maintaining it. There's not as many updates right now
Mm,
because the community is right now it's too small to sustain a whole separate side ladder.
right. Mm.
But actually I started another project for multiplayer, which is a training gym. So I have a Discord that is literally me just offering free coaching to people under the conditions that they are willing to coach people underneath them.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's like just anyone that wants to get good at multiplayer. I'm like, this
So
is
so
yeah,
you started a blood dragon vampire count bloodline, is what you're saying.
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, like the general idea is that it's clan levels of training outside of clans.
Okay, well,
So
that's cool.
yeah,
People should check that out. If you have a link to that, you should post that in the Discord, and I will make sure that ends up in appropriate places.
let's
Um,
see. Oh,
so another question for you, from Wolverine 0605, what is your favorite race to fight against? Like,
against
what's the race that if somebody picks it, you're like, oh, this is gonna be fun.
ooh, let's see. In Warhammer 2, I would say Cathay. Because a lot of people feel like
Hold up,
Cathay is
hold up. So you said in Warhammer
in Warhammer
2.
3. Bad
It's
habit.
like,
Bad habit.
yeah, I imagine you would have been very
Yeah.
excited in Warhammer 2 to see Cathay.
Yep.
That would have been kind of wild.
It's the next Warhammer 2 DLC, guys. We're gonna just yeah, but Cathay, a lot of people feel like Cathay's great, and I love tearing them that apart.
Oh, sad
Um,
face.
yeah, but like it's like yeah, it's like a puzzle to break apart. There's a lot of counterplay in a lot of their matchups,
Mm.
so it's never like and like there's different ways to play it too, so it's nice.
Okay,
But also I
what
get
is
to
the
win it a
Warhammer?
lot.
Okay, so what is the Warhammer 2? What is the Mortal
Okay.
Empire?
Yeah.
Since you brought it up, what's the Mortal
Sure.
Empire's race you get the most excited?
Oh man, Warhammer 2. I would say Vampire Coast
Okay,
because yeah, as my faction main,
yeah,
it's interesting to see other people's takes on a faction that I play so much. And if they go
gotcha.
something different from what I usually go, it's like, oh, this is like experimentation. I get to like transfer notes essentially.
I gotta get back into playing multiplayer. Like I think about it a lot and I watch it a lot. I just just can't seem to get myself around to playing it more. One of these days. Oh look, there's Pone complaining about losing again.
I think his clanmate. I didn't even win that tournament, man. You're good.
um, let's see, and then Oh God, I saw another question and I don't. Where did it go? Where did it go? Uh, what do we think about the Lothern Skycutter getting added to the game? I want everything. I don't care how stupid it is. Okay. And I
Yeah,
already,
no, I'm down to see it.
yeah, I already have flying Zinch chariots. How is a flying elf chariot any dumber? Okay, like it's instead I have a flying chariot with a flamethrower attachment. Why is a flying chariot with a bolt thrower somehow worse? Like that's less stupid than the flamethrower chariot.
Yeah, we got magic. It
Okay.
might even have aerodynamics.
Well, I don't know about that second one, but it definitely does have magic.
Yep.
Okay, so Gree the writer asks, how do you think the balancing of Mortal Empires will look? Are you worried about something like the Order Tide still being dramatic, or do you think it'll be something else?
Yeah, if they fix the order tide, I'm gonna be sad. I want the tide.
Dude, what is with these? Like, I can't have you on the show if you're gonna say stuff like that.
Yo, the vampire tide was great. The order tide was great. Chaos beelining it towards me and me frantically preparing for that.
Dude, there's
CA, add it back in the game before I get cut from the show.
we were enjoying having Enticity on here, and now it's gonna end with us burning him at the stake.
Oh
For
man,
being
no,
a
I
fucking
love it.
heretic.
Yeah, yo, losing by turn 20. That is how I first started Warhammer.
Honest to God, I wish there was a system that the game would like. I wish there was a secret, like a wheel the game would spin or a dice roll it would do, where it picks what kind of tide you're gonna end up facing in your campaign, and it's like not whatever. It can't be your guys. So like, if you're not playing an Order faction, you have a chance to get the Order tide. If you're not playing Chaos, you have a chance to get the Chaos tide. If you're not playing Undead, you have a chance to get the Undead tide. And if you're not playing Greenskins or Ogres, you have a chance to get like the Destro tide. Because that would be so hype. If like, oh, you're playing dwarfs, okay, maybe the Undead are gonna get super powerful and all start allying each other, and you gotta deal with Undead everywhere. Or Chaos comes sweeping down from the north, and it's like all of the demons and the warriors and the Skaven and Norska just like. Because that would just like the Wheel of Tide. That is a terrible name, but yes, like I honestly think that would be a great mechanic to like really have you guessing as you're playing your campaign, like who in the late campaign is going to turn out to be like a nightmarish opponent.
Yeah, they just have to not make it an event. It has to be like tweaking the internal system.
I would, because we know they can do that. Because we've seen it. Zerkovich I think it was Zerkovich, did some really interesting videos on how the AI determines how factions are performing. And there is literally a system where I think it's like the better a faction is doing, the better it gets at beating other AI factions. But if the player like directly intervenes and starts hurting that faction, it starts lowering its percentage chance to beat the other AIs. So like if there was a system like that where it just kind of very covertly picked one of them and just started like tweaking them so that they just start really starting to go crazy after like turn 100, that would be really fun. And I think it would make the late game feel much more like you're dealing with some kind of apocalyptic threat as opposed to, because I'm just not a fan of the Chaos Invasion that Warhammer 2 had, because because it was an event. It was kind of an interruption, and B, it just didn't work because they would just not like if I was not on one of those edges, I was like, okay, I just don't have to worry about this because I know the AI is going to kill it before it gets down here.
Yeah, you just enjoy the diplomacy buffs.
Well, okay, Apotep does have kind of a good point that it could be fun if it's just those all exist. Like the game's just going to try and do them. But depending on your actions, like you're just caught between these tides. That could also be fun. Mm-hmm. But the Order Tide definitely, I feel like the Order Tide needs to somehow be like split a little bit down some sort of dividing line. I don't know how you would be able to split it, but like, maybe it'd need to be like New World versus Old World or something. Yeah. Though there are enough bad guy races now with all the new ones that you could probably do something interesting with, like bad guys versus good guys, so to speak. Okay, I think that's pretty much all of the questions. I will double check. Bullstorm. Okay, I'm sure this. I don't know if this will be easy for you or hard. Bullstorm does want to know from Enticity, what is your favorite unit in the entirety of the Warhammer trilogy?
Easy.
Easy.
Zombie handguns.
There you go. He knew it.
Handguns.
He knew it right away. Why? Why are zombie handguns like?
Yep, it's the cheapest gold for handgun value in the entire game. I'm pretty sure. So you get your most black powder for the least money.
Boring practical answer.
I love my gunpowder units. Yeah.
Okay, so this is an interesting specific question. So Ishumare asks, Enticity, you were super hyped with Slaanesh before the release of Warhammer 3, but now you aren't. What happened?
Slaanesh. Slaanesh has a. I love Slaanesh in campaign. I finished the Slaanesh campaign, so we're not just gonna only play that.
Yeah.
in multiplayer, Slaanesh gets abused so hard.
Yeah.
Because the faction doesn't have like the tools to break certain playstyles. So yeah. Well, like when it comes to me in tournaments, I'm super. Like in campaign, I'm just like, oh, this is fun. I'll just do this, lose an army, whatever. In multiplayer, if it's not like super meta, I cut it from the training schedule. I'm brutal in that fashion.
Yeah, Enticity kind of based.
Yeah.
All right, and then the okay, I've got two last questions. One serious, one stupid meme. We'll get Hammond. I don't know why we let you in here, dude. Like, we really need to post a sign on the door that says no Hammonds allowed. Hammond asks, if Nagash was weak, why?
If Nagash is weak, why? Okay, now this is a hard question for me.
I'm going to be very judgmental from a lore perspective of what your answer is. I'm just warning you now.
Good. Yeah, my Nagash lore is very, very strong. So I'm going to say the fact that Nagash isn't in the game, I think that is he basically doesn't exist to me. He's obviously not an important lore character.
Oof.
Gorst ranks higher than Nagash.
Oh my god.
In my tier list.
All right, everyone. Thank you for coming to the stream. I'm so sorry. We should have done a better job vetting this guest before having him on. I didn't mean to taint everything that Lorebeards stands for with this stream.
Beards and
okay, and then the last actual question was Eats Nico asks, what is your favorite lore of magic in the Warhammer trilogy and why?
Lore of magic. Dang, there's a lot of good ones out there. I think I would say I
mean, the lore of the deeps lets you get more handgun or more zombie guns. Not handguns, though.
That's true. Well, no, it's the lore of vampires. That's the
that's
weird
true.
part.
That's true. It's the lore of vampires under the sea edition.
Oh man, that was sort of a weird choice. If it was the other way, it would be deeps, but I think I'm just a generic lore of fire guy. I'm all about these generic
just sweet DPS.
Yeah, but like DPS, Burning Head, Flamestorm. That's pretty good. I'm thinking if there's another one that really tickles my fancy, but like yeah, explosions. That's me. There you go.
So you'd say the lore of fire because of its damage spells?
Yeah, in Warhammer 2 though, in Warhammer 3, actually a lot of the lores don't really then I'm not feeling it. I don't know what about it, but it
I've seen I think the lore that I've seen, like, which I actually haven't had much time to mess around with this lore because I haven't really played a campaign where I spend most of my time with it. It honestly, in my experience, seems like the lore of Yang has a lot of fans. because of that. Like I see a lot of people spamming the hell out of the Dragon Breath spell.
Yeah.
Like it gets a lot of mileage.
I think it's like all right. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna judge people that like the lore, but it's sort of.
And Jesse's like, listen, I'm not gonna just point out how wrong everyone that you see doing that is.
Oh man. Yeah.
The lore of Tempest Sag. I think the lore of the Tempest is great in campaign.
Yeah.
I really like that the shooting buff. That one, I love that spell in campaign.
Yeah. Extra. Man, they need more explosions. This is why I'm looking forward to Croak. Lore of Lord Croak is
yes. 3 just explosion, bigger explosion, and biggest explosion. Best lore.
Yeah, I'll take more of that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, Bullstorm. Bullstorm says he thinks that probably one of the biggest damages to the magic in Warhammer 3 is not being able to aim your vortex spells anymore. You can't choose what direction they go at the start. Which I thought they could still do that. Last time I was streaming and someone was like, "No, Enticity said you can't do that anymore," and I was like, "Oh, bummer."
Yeah, I'm surprised that they took out that tech. It seemed unnecessary. I feel like it might have been an unintentional thing, though.
Yeah, but I honestly wish they would add it back, because the thing was, that's how it worked in tabletop. When you would play tabletop with a magical vortex, you would pick the direction it would go in at the start. It would go away from the wizard. So like you would be like, all right, I know what direction it's going to go at first, and then after that initial move, then it would randomize. That way you would get like at least one good moment out of the cast where you know for a fact what it's going to do, and then it would just like ramage around.
Oh, so it was tabletop accurate this whole time, and they changed it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make some phone calls. Lions 75, should CA make it possible to play multi? That's kind of an interesting question. I could see that maybe for a mode. He asks, should CA make it possible to play multiplayer with units from different races? So like the mercenary system from single player.
Oh, I see. That would. Okay.
That would be impossible to balance, but
yeah. What I imagine would happen? One of the units from the factions would be one of the strongest. You'd see it all the time, and people would hate it. This is the common trend I see.
Yeah, I could see that being fun in custom battles, like to allow the mercenary system where it's like you can pick up to 4 units from any faction. Like that could be stupid fun cheese. But should that be like an actual multiplayer? No. Nope. No.
Yeah, but like there were ogre tournaments in Warhammer too, right? Yeah. Why does custom lobbies not have more customization? We'll never know.
Yeah, they're failing us. They're failing us. Like where the custom lobbies are, it's a lie. They're not custom at all.
Yeah.
Where's Nathan? Nathan's taking a break for a while, which is totally fine. And I like this. This isn't like real Lorebeards, which is why we are skipping a lot of the typical segments, because without Nathan, like it's just not the. I don't think it's the right thing to do. So this is like a tide you over until Lorebeards returns to normal episode. It was either this or nothing. So like pick your poison. I don't care. If I think it'll probably be kind of similar next week. Yes, I know Enticity doesn't have a beard. I'm aware. Thank you. You don't need to listen, it wasn't original the first time, chat. It's not original now, okay? Enticity is an elf. Ooh, yikes. That's rude. It's rude. All right, so I think that's pretty much everything, unless there was anything you wanted to talk about or whatever.
No, I think we basically covered everything, right? We ranted about Warhammer. We talked about.
We ranted about the ranting about Warhammer. Yeah, great.
Yeah, well, I guess that was really the main. That was the main thing to
Yeah.
get out today. And then lots of DLC stuff. Yo, because I usually don't get to talk to people about future stuff because it always devolves into like,
Yeah.
yeah, but the game sucks. It's like, let's
Yeah.
talk
I
about cool stuff.
I
Yeah.
am super excited for the DLCs, and I feel pretty confident we've probably got one coming down the chute here in another month or so, and I am genuinely I really want to know what it is. Is it Chaos Dwarves? Is it hopefully not a Lord Pack? Like, what is it?
Like, if it's coming in a month, that means teasers maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully. But is it, dude, if it was fish people, I would lose my goddamn mind. Like, I would have to retire, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or Games Workshop would send someone to assassinate me because I figured it out and I'm a prophet, apparently. But in any event, before we go, Enticity, is there anything you want to like plug? Anything you want people to check out? Like, where can they find you? What are you up to these days? All that jazz.
Sure. I guess right now I'm playing a lot of multiplayer. Check out the training gym channel. I sent it to Sotek. He'll show it one way or another.
Yes.
That's like my main multiplayer time sink now. And then I have a YouTube channel. It's like small clips and stuff. If you want to learn random stuff about the game, that is the place to go. But like it's sort of weird because I think some people have seen that without knowing it's me because they just like see the thing and they watch for 30 seconds, but like they're not committed to the channel. But if you haven't heard of it yet,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
there's
I did
that.
just post the link in chat, so anybody that's like, "Oh, that sounds kind of awesome," you can immediately join up, and I will make sure that's posted in relevant places.
Lots of bite-sized content, but also the streams. I'm streaming campaign now, so
Yes, and you stream on YouTube, correct?
yeah, YouTube weekdays. It's Noblars only. It's great.
Oh my god. Are you at least like using the unbreakable Noblars?
Haven't tried yet.
Oh, bummer. That
Yep.
trade is so good. It's
Yo,
so strong.
I lost the quest battle twice. The first Grease's quest battle because I
It's
didn't have
hard.
AP.
Dude,
Yeah.
the quest battles in Warhammer 3 are actually, most of them are very difficult compared to prior games.
Oh yeah.
Um okay, so yeah, chat, make sure to join that Discord channel if you'd like, and also be sure to check out Enticity on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to him, support him, all that jazz. I know I would really appreciate it. We will be back next week. If Nathan is not here, we may do a story time. If I can find a special guest, then we'll have a special guest on. We'll do something aimed around whatever they're good at. If not, then maybe I will literally just do a story time and I'll just read a bunch of lore stories because I don't know, that sounds stupid and fun. I don't know. So thank you all so much for joining us. Just a reminder, this is not technically an episode of Lorebeards. Just think of it as like a off-season, like when you're watching a show and like they go on hiatus, but they bring on like the cast to just do random stupid crap while you're waiting for the show to come back. This was one of those. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.